Video is a wonderful thing, but it does have its limitations. It's not very good for conveying facts and figures, for example. They're quite often better displayed in text form, which is why on the news you'll have a text overlay to convey the facts and figures, because they don't really work in video. They're hard to go in, they look better written down. And a lot of video posts people do would work equally as well, if not better, as a text post, just because people can skim read through it and pick out the information they want, and if they are interested, digest that information a lot better. But video does have its strengths, and you should use those strengths to your advantage. For example, video conveys emotion really well. So if you're really excited about something that's just happened in your life and you want to tell the world, it works really well for that. And if you're really angry about all those LinkedIn posts that aren't business related, how dare they post on LinkedIn, then video is a great way to show people your emotion. And as a visual medium, video is a great way to show people about a subject, not just telling them about it. For example, if you're doing a how-to video on making a cup of coffee, let's say, rather than sitting down as I am now in front of the camera explaining you need to get a mug, you need to get some coffee, you need to put it in the mug, boil the kettle, and so on. It's much more effective use of video to show people the process that you go through to make a cup of coffee. A little bit like this. So once the kettle's boiled, let it cool slightly, and then pour the water into the cup carefully, and make sure you leave enough room at the top of the cup to put in any milk if you don't like your coffee black, and then enjoy. And doing something like that is really easy. Now you'll need some video editing software, either an app on your phone or some software on your computer, but you'll need some non-linear video editing software. And non-linear just means you can layer things up and down, so you have your main track at the bottom and then you can put overlay videos on top. This way you can keep the audio going without having to cut and chop it. Of course, there are a few free versions available on desktops, laptops, such as Mac has the iMovie, which does support non-linear editing on the Mac, but not on the iPhone, which is a little bit confusing and annoying. So if you've got iMovie on your MacBook, then you can use that. So let's go and have a look about how non-linear video editing will work. Welcome to my computer, and I'm in iMovie at the moment, which is one of many video editing softwares available, and Windows does of course have its own version, and they all pretty much operate in the same kind of way. The more advanced programs have more advanced features, but for what we want, iMovie and equivalents will work well, and iMovie is free. So first of all, we need to select files. So I've created part 1 and part 2 of me talking to camera, and then coffee clips are the B-roll that we're going to add in afterwards. Now once we have imported them, you can select a clip and use this to drag to select a little bit if you only want just a little bit imported, or you can just drag the whole thing onto the timeline. I had several attempts at a few of the lines where I got them a bit muddled, so there will be retakes, and you can see the audio waveform below to see where I started talking and where I stopped. And you can press on iMovie, it's Command B for blade, to cut the film, cut the timeline. So I'm going to work through this now and just remove all the bits where I fluff the lines. So I've gone through the whole file now, part 1, and I've cut out all the bits that I don't want, where I fluff the lines, but it's left me with this very segmented clip where it becomes quite jumpy, and it's known as a jump cut, where you just cut the timeline and there's no transition, no other footage. And if you see there, I kind of jump from one place to the other. That's why it's called a jump cut. Jump cuts are okay, they're not the sign of a professional's work. I would try and hide them if I was doing some client work. There is another alternative you can do, because this film's in 4K, I can zoom in to twice the size. So to punch in on iMovie, you select the, I don't know what you call that, the cropping tool. That's a good name for it. And then you crop to fill, and then I want to do something like that. Let's get it on the edge of the mantelpiece so it's easy to remember. So when we play this back now, it will appear that the camera angle changes. The angle doesn't change, it's just that we're punching in, but it gives the illusion that it does. So we can use this to some effect. So I'm going to go through the timeline now and just select alternative clips and use that effect, so the eyes don't notice the jump cuts just as much. So once we have done that, we need to find the bits where we are doing the description. and they're the ones where I'm looking down because I'm reading the script, so it should start about here, 123. And the advantage of doing it this way, as I am here, is I can read the script without having to look at the camera, and then I can just get a couple of the clips and add them in. And you don't want it too long, probably like 2 or 3 seconds. With this, actually, I want the click, so we want it about 2 seconds, and we want the click of the switch coming off. And then I've got a few of the kettle being boiled and filling up the cup. 4 seconds, that's a bit long. So what we do, we'll make it longer so the click is towards the end of the clip. And actually, I forgot to add another clip. So that was the missing clip that I like to add in, and this one we can use to trim. So I moved around quite a bit to try and get the angle right, so we can have it just be walking into the frame then and enjoying a coffee. We only want a couple of seconds. And then drag that there. Obviously that's too long for what I want it, so. And I'll use that actually for a bit longer, so I'll cover up the jump cut. You see, it's very easy to do something like that, and it makes your videos more interesting, and you have to do less explaining. So I do hope that you're able to use some of the tips in this video to make your videos more interesting by showing people what it is you're talking about. And you can show people items, products, things like that, but you can also use it to show locations. You can use it in establishing shots to show the audience where you are in the world. You can use it to show processes such as making a cup of coffee, and you can use it to show emotion. But whatever you do with video, make sure you're using it to its strengths, that you're using it to show people rather than just sitting down and telling people a story, which can work, but the show element is so much more powerful. I hope you've enjoyed this tip. If you have, then let me know, and don't forget to check out my video production company, Rich Wilkes Films. And until next time, whatever you're doing out there, stay safe, but make sure you're having fun.